Hi and welcome on this 30th December, almost the last day of the year. It's a time to take a good look back and also discuss what's going to come in 2025. I am very happy to be here with three of my colleagues from the Just Connecting team. Hi Noyesa, hi Eva, hi Martijn. So just a couple
Hello.
of words. Noyesa is a social media design expert, or I want to say design artist. Martijn is a LinkedIn expert and also knows a lot about productivity. And Yeva is the personal branding and LinkedIn expert in Latvia. So, hi guys, so glad to have you all here.
What's going on, Richie?
Good to be
Yeah,
here.
you know,
It's great to be here.
relaxing.
Relaxing. It's almost the end of the year, and we have to get ready for 2025 because it's going to be a banger.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting year, right? But before we talk about the big trends hitting us in 2025, how did the last 12 months treat you? So, Yeva, I want to start with you. What were your highlights? What did you like about LinkedIn? Which content, which posts stuck in your head?
Is this the place where you're gonna share the screen already? or
Yeah, if you want to, we are maximum flexible here.
no?
So,
I think there is no rush. There is no rush. But I think video was a good experience for me in general. I really enjoyed this. Video coming more forward to the audiences and seeing different content on video. That was a good learning for me. That it's possible to have a really good content through the video and. For me, it's also a challenge how to create video which is really relatable for my audience. But what I found that company pages can be fun. So I discovered one company page which really makes me laugh always. So it's a good sign that if you really want, you can be creative, and your company page can really not only grow followers but engagement. This is hard part. So yeah, but thought leadership plays a great role. I see that it's not gonna stop. So it's gonna be even more visible. So yeah, that's for me.
it's interesting you mentioned that because when someone, a brand or a person makes us laugh, that's usually something that sticks to our heads. Often more than some, practical advice. What about you, Noyesa?
Well, in like going back to the question, like the most remarkable content, I've seen a lot. There has been like a lot of remarkable content, but what really stands out most for me personally is the overall charisma of the professionals sharing it. Because, like you don't get hooked up with one content. It takes time. And it takes time, and looking to that perspective is you can also assess that you really need to be consistent, and that way you feel, or in that way you get a greater impact to others. And it's the collective energy and the engagement that's really the most important thing, like the highlight of 2024.
So one viral post will not do all the job for us. We need to
Yeah,
stay
exactly.
consistent and be recognizable. Yes. Keep talking about the same topics. Martijn, what about your 24?
the highlights on LinkedIn. Well, I think for me the biggest one is I would say the revival of employee advocacy, and it's pretty funny because in some countries LinkedIn just only the last few years LinkedIn just went through the roof on people going, I would almost say, nuts on it. But I see, for those of you that are watching, I'm from the Netherlands. You might have heard from my accent. But in the Netherlands, we had this already for like 10, 12, I don't know how many years. So many people already know LinkedIn in the Netherlands or have posted on it or been active. And what we've seen in around 2016, 2017 was the upcoming of employee advocacy, like making sure that your employees are your ambassadors. Now, it went
Hmm.
away a little bit. So people were more interested in like what do company pages do. are important. But I think for me, the biggest highlight, the biggest thing what I've seen on LinkedIn is actually two things: employee advocacy making a return, um, companies understanding that employees are their biggest ambassadors, they should celebrate that. And number two, that especially the last 6 months, I've seen more a push towards making content value centric instead of engagement centric. And what I mean by that is most of the creators are focusing less and less on how many likes do I get, or how should I make my hook so I get as much engagement as possible. Again, I'm all for engagement, but the main thing is for me, how do you want to be remembered? And your content has to be available
Mm,
if you want to be remembered. So that's two of the biggest highlights for me on LinkedIn that I've seen
definitely.
happening, which I really, really love.
Yeah, that is a pretty huge deal. And since there is so much content, I mean, we still have a relatively small number of actively publishing users, but there is a lot of content, and standing out is probably not becoming easier. Personally, when I looked back, I learned a lot. I saw a lot of super interesting posts about AI services and interesting ideas how to use them. But what stuck to my head most were funny posts. And unfortunately, one of my favorite authors just lost his account a couple of days ago
Oof.
because, it's often a problem with irony on LinkedIn. The algorithm does not recognize it. A lot of times, other people don't recognize it either. Stephen Watson, you might or might have not heard of him. Um, One status update that really stuck to my mind was the most valuable ship is not a ship made of gold or of silver, it's leadership. He's making fun of these typical uh cliches in a very good way. But very interesting for me, there is this other guy. Maybe you've also heard of him. His name is Ken Cheng. And when you Google a LinkedIn comedian, he immediately turns up. His profile slogan says, "I want to connect with you emotionally." And a lot of people, and that makes it so funny, I would say about 50% don't understand that it's irony. So he will talk about his business ideas, like paying homeless people to steal sandwiches from sandwich bars, because that's usually something the police want look after. And a lot of people really complain about this. So I thought, at the fringes of humor, there's often a lot of misunderstandings. Do you think that
Mm.
most of the content, even the serious one, is understood, or do we scan information too quickly to retain some of it?
I'll pick it up. I think humor is important, Richie. Like you do content about knives, about dogs, about cold
Nothing
water,
funny about that. Nothing
swimming.
funny about knives.
Yeah, and then I discovered it is Matt Smith. He does funny videos about him preparing for the Olympics. He's a keynote speaker, but he's preparing for the Olympics on cross country skiing, representing South Africa. So this is like cool. And then I have this friend Chris Bog, who is using humor just to push the sales. Sales knowledge to the community. I think it's really important to have humor. It really bonds people. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's from a storytelling perspective. What a lot of people overlook, storytelling is not about the hero's journey. It's not about following a strict script or recreating Ulysses or something like that. It's more about catering to emotions, because physiologically speaking, our brain can only retain information in the long run if we repeat it many, many times. But then we tend to forget. Just remember your days in school. Or if we combine information with emotion. Still, a lot of people struggle with that. And I don't think AI tools make it easier to speak to emotions. How do you see
Not at
that?
all. Not at all. You can detect, especially for those people who use AI in their daily basis. You can really identify which content is using AI and which is not. And most of the time, when you obviously know this is AI, you just simply skip it or you scroll past it. And that is another reason why I don't. It can be. It's still helpful, but you really need to make it your own. You cannot just rely on AI itself and let AI do the work, because that is so far from from happening. Yeah.
I agree, but yesterday something really weird happened to me. I'm not an English native speaker, so I usually run all my status updates through ChatGPT. I created a custom GPT that basically does grammar check, a free Grammarly, so to speak. So it
Uh,
does all that stuff for me. It also applies Hemingway rules. And occasionally, like a couple of months ago, ChatGPT would use words like meticulous or in the age of, that stuff that you don't want to
yeah.
hear. Then I integrated a stop list. But yesterday, actually, ChatGPT complained about my choice of language and said, hey, this is an overused phrase. And I was like,
Oh
what?
God.
So that really got me thinking. I mean, is this discussion about easily recognizable AI content over? What do you think, Martijn?
I'm so happy with the fact that that I can now make spelling mistakes because I make them often. I just got one in one of my content earlier today. But then everybody knows I don't use ChatGPT. Now, of course, I'm lying. I'm using all kinds of AI to create content. And I think it's a good thing that we have it. Many discussions here, but I think in general it helps people to become more active on LinkedIn. It helps them to express what they actually want to say. But I 100% agree with Nurieza. Like, you have to make it authentic. You have to make it your own. So that's a super important thing, and I think that's one of the things for 2025, which is really interesting. How, not if we're going to use AI for content creation, because let's all agree everybody does that, and if you don't, it's a mistake. But how are we going to create, or how are we going to use AI in content creation? I'm really curious what's going on there, and also, well, maybe also a little bit afraid, curious and afraid. I think that's a good
Yeah.
I'm
Eva,
also
what's your take
afraid.
on that?
thing. Yeah,
You
but
are?
you're also afraid. Why?
A couple days ago or week ago, there was a post from a person we might know, Luke Matthews, and he posted his IE avatar video, and I was like hearing and seeing him, and I got scared, and I was thinking, let it be IE, let it be IE, let it be IE, because it cannot be real person. It sounds like not natural and not pleasant. So I was really happy to read the post that it's really IE content, not him. So I think IE, there is some limits, you shouldn't scare your audience away as well.
That's a
Mm.
good one.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm I'm a trained profiler, so I know exactly why these videos look like they do, because they lack the proper micro expressions.
Mm.
People who are not trained profilers cannot name these individual expressions, but they feel it all the same. The FBI uses Homeland Security also uses systems that detect micro expressions via cameras. They are used in airports and they are widely used. So it works the other way around. As soon as AI will be able to properly reproduce these micro expressions, and it's a question of data ultimately, these videos will seem very, very real. But I got a very honest email today from a student. This semester I also did a second course about visual communication, and students don't have to do an exam, but they have to write an essay. And what she asked me was, if you do an AI copy detection, how many percent of AI copy is okay in my essay? And I was like, I don't do that. Your essay should make sense. But I'm not a detective, and I tried some of these systems myself, and yeah, they are not good at detection. And the same will be true for videos. But how will we deal with that? And I think that's a good bridge to 2025. How will we deal with that? Maybe we will have real-time avatars that work for us 24 hours, talk to other people's real-time avatars. Maybe we won't have to spend any more time on LinkedIn. But who's buying then?
It's a good question. It's a good question. I think you
Right?
got two things here for the audience also watching. I think when we look at deep fakes, like they're getting scary good, and then you got the whole political system. Like things can get messy, pretty ugly, and let's not go there. Let's keep it fun and engaging. On the other hand, it's a good question what you posed there, Richie. Like, aren't we going to spend time on LinkedIn? I would actually take it back. Like, what's the reason why you're on LinkedIn? What's actually the reason that you create content? And if the reason that
Exactly.
you create content is to inform your audience and you have some tools that can help you there create the most valuable content for your audience, well, why not? Sure, you can have an ethical discussion about how to use AI and do you like to look at some weird avatar or not. On the other hand, there are some cases that I think avatars are fine. If it's like pure instructional, like do this and this and this, well, why not? What I would like, or what I always try to do, is to keep it as positive as possible, I would say. And you could say, well, if we don't have to spend that much time on creating content, because let's all agree, it is a lot of time, and it costs a lot of energy, costs a lot of time. If you have to spend less time on the creation part, but more time on the value part, and also connecting with others, like real, genuine relationships, I think that's a good thing. But many obstacles here that we need to take. What do you think, Nurieza?
Yeah, like it's crazy because back before, like a couple of months ago, this is crazy. Like 6 months ago, people were saying that okay, there's gonna be more authenticity because video content is being pushed. But as you can see now, the video content, we're going nuts. I don't know where this AI is taking us, but I think what we can really do is really push the human side of the story. It can be AI, but there should be like an amount of AI that is okay. Like, let's say the process on how you create your content, that it can be AI'd, or like the tools, you can use the AI tools to make it more convenient and efficient for you. But if you're gonna be like putting AI content, from the AI writing the content, from the AI getting the idea of the content, there, it's like a hollow, like a
Yeah,
black hole that you're there's nothing in there, it's empty, and we don't want that. And we are here on LinkedIn because we want to build a network, we want to build people we can connect with, people who can relate to us, and eventually do business with them. And if you're going to be doing that, and imagine all of LinkedIn is like that, we are a total mess.
I
Yeah,
agree.
so yeah,
Yes,
that's my
but
that's my point of view about it.
yes, but this is, I think, to some extent also a question of insider perspective. We all
Hmm.
four of us, spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. We consume a lot of content. But then, if you look at the mainstream, because Martijn mentioned the second coming of employer advocacy. If you look at scale, most companies struggle to motivate their employees in the long run. So AI would make it really easy to create a lot of posts. But I was recently thinking, usually it's a top-down process. Sometimes marketing is providing content. Ideally, marketing talks a lot to sales, so they create this loop and then they hand out content, and very motivated influencers will ideally remix this content or occasionally even publish their own successful status updates. Now, in the employee advocacy programs that we have worked with, or that we have orchestrated during the last years, I always saw, and of course, this is not a surprise, that the most successful ambassadors were the ones who uploaded their own authentic content. What I never saw, not once, is marketing, grabbing that content and turning it, for example, into a news article in their homepage. What I see coming for 2025, and this is another aspect of AI. It's so easy if you have a good idea, if you have a good piece of content, to remix it into various formats. Now, I really struggled with creating slides, but Gamma takes care of 90% of the time of that. Um, but you still need to know what you want to talk about. So maybe if you focus more on that, it's a good thing. What do you think, Eva?
I think it's the key struggle for the teams, what to speak about. It's like the top question for everybody, from the teams, for professionals. I think the magic lies within being relevant for your audience. I think you shouldn't focus on, reaching everybody, but if you can suggest your employees to be relevant for their own, each of them have their own audiences, like each of them have their own bubbles. So just to be relevant for their own bubble, and then the scaling starts. This is the magic part, when you are really focused on serving your niche audience, then the audience will relate and they will help you to scale. And this is the way opportunity for the business to get results from the employee advocacy, not becoming generic with their employee communication. So when you really know what your audience is needing from you, then it's much easier, just to focus on your, I don't know, 5-10 people, write like you write to your 5-10 customers, and then the scale starts. So I think it's more easier than businesses make it more complicated now. And it's about 2025. It's going to be more about niche content for the niche audiences, but there's going to be scale because people are looking for those answers in specific topics. So yeah.
A lot of LinkedIn content is queuing the picture, right? Everybody wants to scale. And I've heard things like, you're completely unsuccessful if you don't make $1 million a month or a year or whatever. And this also creates a pretty weird picture of reality. And I sometimes have the impression that there are two LinkedIns in the newsfeed, like the corporate world or people who are actually, working in various industries, and the ones who only talk about scaling businesses, and that all seems very generic. But interestingly, there's not so much overlap. How do you see that?
Who are you asking to?
Whoever wants to answer.
Well, there's a lot of questions already in the comments. We have Richard with us.
Oh, great. Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah.
Richard, we miss you in the call.
Yes, very much so.
I
His
see you're
question
pretty
is-
you're pretty busy technical there, Richie. What are you going to say, Nuyeza? Go ahead.
Yeah, the Richard's question is, why do we put AI always on the same page as selling your soul? I think it makes it's a very interesting question, and it says, and Richard said, is it reluctance to change? Right?
What do you think, Nuyeza?
I think there is a truth in this question. Like, not because I agree with Richard. Okay. Yeah, like, yeah, we use AI. I would be a hypocrite if I would say that I don't use AI. I definitely use AI every single day. But there is a stigma, or like, I don't know if this is true to you, that when a person, this person uses AI, like there's like a bit of like a fallback to like a certain level of respect or like an authority. I don't know, but there is. I'm not sure about you guys, but this is why I observe. Like, whenever somebody you just know that, oh, this person is heavily into AI, like, so where is this authenticity is coming from, or how authentic is his content or her content, and like the level of respect and authority starts to decline. I don't know. I want to hear your thoughts about this.
Well, I actually do agree with Richard. AI, or at least that's what I've seen in the comments. So just checking it. I don't think AI is selling your soul to the devil, or whatever the phrase was. So I actually agree with Richard that isn't the case. I think with all new technologies, we've seen this like years and years and years, like in our whole society. Whenever a new tool comes up, there are always people who say you cannot use that. When the radio was here, there were some churches saying the radio is from the devil, and then the television came, television's from the devil, and then the internet. Well, you can continue. So I think with every new technology, there are people resistant. Let's all be honest, we have no idea what AI is bringing us, like for good and bad. We're just guessing, everybody is. So I think using AI is just a really good thing.
Mm.
I, where I think my personal thing is, I whenever I post something, I want it to be, one, valuable for my audience, and number two, authentic. Like, I am the one that is actually saying this, and I actually stand with what I say. So using AI for content creation, for ideas. Yeva, you just said it, like, everybody's thinking like what to post, like what should I talk about? That's actually not a question anymore. You're like, go to ChatGPT, type in your topic that you want to talk about, give me 20 examples, like, boom, there you go. Now, the problem here is that you have now 20 ideas about what you want to talk about, but it might not be the thing that you authentically should talk about. So I think that's the balance there with AI. So using it for ideas, using it for checking grammar. I seriously need to step up my game there. Sorry about that, but whenever you post something, you need to make sure it's authentic. Yeah. What do you think, Richie?
I'm not sure if selling one's soul to the devil is such a bad thing, because for one, in
Some
Austrian
people
storytelling
just left the
tradition,
call.
Oh.
there are a lot of stories about how people sold their soul to the devil, but then tricked the devil the last moment before they would actually go to hell. So that might be one option. But seriously, my favorite media theory author ever, Willem Flusser, a Czech Jew who later moved to Brasilia, wrote a book with a very interesting title. It's called The History of the Devil, and the devil in this book is progress. Seen from a monotheistic view, from a monotheistic perspective, this is a very valid viewpoint. And if you look back on our cultural history, we have many phases where new technologies reshaped our society. And it's hard for us to believe, but when photography was invented, people were talking a lot about the death of the
It would
image.
take your soul, right? It would take your soul.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course, it will take your soul, but also even in philosophy, people were speculating about the end of originality. And of course, new technologies always scare us. We are still able to read, even though we grew up with computer games. Books, books have been around for a couple of hundreds of years, but mostly religious books. Entertainment books are pretty new. They began to turn up around 1900, Europe and the US. And you know what people were afraid of? That their children might completely flee into literary escapism. Because if you read books all day, you're missing what's going on in the real world.
Mm.
So it's a story that's constantly repeating. And AI won't go away, but of course, it raises a new interesting question: when does AI become sentient? But that's not for us to solve. But I completely agree with Richard. I don't think for any professional in digital media, it's not an option to use AI or not to use it. But it increases the necessary quantities to achieve the same effect. The stakes are higher, I would say.
But
We all
what,
pay
what
for
I
much more premium services per month than we did a while
Richie,
ago, don't we?
when you speak about the books, I somehow feel that now I relate more to the books and topics which I discover from the books inspire me for the content more than if I would ask ChatGPT about the content topics. So I think, this people element and being present is really important. You cannot ask all the things, like Martin said. Maybe those topics are good, but you wouldn't relate as them naturally as much as the ChatGPT, for example, offers you. But I think we should rename our life. It's already like AI is taking too much of our conversation.
Yeah.
It's not everything, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But that's probably the same thing that will happen on LinkedIn next year, right? AI will take a large spot in the conversation. But since you're mentioning it, what else is going to happen? What else will we see? Since we know now that you are the one person who really likes the video feed, so good job, LinkedIn. And no, it's not true. I also really like it, but I have mostly heard, are you trying to turn LinkedIn into TikTok? And personally, I have to say, for my taste, the selection is still very random. Will LinkedIn get better at this?
Mm.
Will finally teenagers, late teens flock to the platform,
Or do we
or
want
is
that?
LinkedIn staying old?
And I'm not talking about teenagers going to the platform because everybody's welcome. Let that be clear. But what I do see when I look at the newsfeed, it is sort of like the more TikTok, Instagram kind of thing. Now, I am definitely not the person that's saying LinkedIn is for business content, so get the hell out of here with whatever. You can post whatever you want unless you're staying within the restrictions of that LinkedIn gave you, like no racism. But we got that covered. But I am curious though that when we look at the users, like Richie, you just mentioned it, like we are all quote unquote power users. We are busy with this platform every single day. But I think the average user, if they will see too much videos that aren't, I would say, valuable from the perspective that you are on LinkedIn, I think it could be a problem. And I always explain to people like social networks, it's like Facebook or Instagram or whatever you want to use. That's like the pub that you go to with your friends and have fun and whatever it is. But if you go to a business event, you're not completely somebody else. You have your jokes, you have your funny things, but you act in a certain way. So I think that when we go too much TikTok kind of style on LinkedIn, I think that could be an issue. Let's put it there. What do you think, Richie? Or Yeza? Yeva?
I'm not into
I mean,
video content.
I agree with you, and data agrees with you, because if you look at TikTok, I mean, if you take the 10% most active users on TikTok, maybe on YouTube Shorts, also on Instagram Reels, they have really long usage times per session. So people watch TikTok videos for hours and hours. These are really amazing long times. Whereas the average LinkedIn session lasts about 10 minutes. People browsing the newsfeed,
Mm,
and that includes video. And I don't see session lengths increasing that much. So I agree that TikTok is really good at presenting you the stuff that you want to see
yeah.
almost time. If you enjoy a dancing video, you don't even have to explicitly like it. They will show you more dances.
Hmm.
On LinkedIn, this is not the case. So I think what you mentioned is actually the major challenge to find out, better find out in real time what the user is interested in. Also, I have to say, I have no idea. I mean, TikTok has a huge video base. With so many shorts now. I have no idea how many people actually upload short videos to LinkedIn. I tried to find out, but there are no statistics. At least I couldn't find any.
When I think about the video content, I think LinkedIn video is the same like TikTok video, because in terms of serving the audience by interest, and this is the opportunity for the niche topics. You shouldn't worry that this is LinkedIn shouldn't become TikTok. LinkedIn should become your audience orientated, content feed. You shouldn't focus on being afraid of TikTok, but you should be very focused on your topic and your audience. So maybe video is a good tool, good format for your audience. You shouldn't, I think, focus as much on being afraid rather than using it as an opportunity, because then you have the voice, image, text, context, all together. It's like super unique content type, which can have larger leverage for your audience.
But pragmatically speaking, you need vertical video if you want to repurpose your content on Instagram Reels, on TikTok, or YouTube Shorts. Well, I think that's a huge deal these days. But how do you see that?
It's very, very convenient. It's very convenient that you can create one content for multiple platforms. This is what you do. This is what I do. Of course, you cannot repurpose if it's a long video, which I really prefer to develop. So this is only for the YouTube, but in terms of short content, of course, it's very convenient. And what I also think about video, it really engage your audience for the two-stream communication. Because when we create posts, when we create, I don't know, some newsletter or something, still it's one-way communication. It's more like TV translation. Yeah, but it's not something that engage. But video is different. You speak and you engage and you call people for some action, for some engagement. So it's different type of topic, format.
But there's also
From
one thing that I noticed about. I'm sorry to butt in, but like there's a difficulty that I see on LinkedIn's side, because people, they have this schema in their mind that, okay, when I'm looking for helpful videos, I need to go to YouTube. If I'm looking for something fast like reels, so I go to IG or I go to TikTok. So at the same time on LinkedIn, there's like a dilemma on like what is the specific type of content that people really, or like the format that people like they just want to access it quickly. So I think there is a struggle with that on LinkedIn side, because they need to have like like to improve. If they really want to make this video like a big thing, they really need to improve how people perceive the platform, or like what is the type of content that should be like adapted within in that platform. So that's just my like observation. And another thing that I think is interesting is like LinkedIn is we're getting a lot of ads, like sponsored post. Yeah, and because like this is not getting a good traction, this is getting a very low like conversion. So I think this is what I think, like aside from the short videos, we will be seeing longer videos along the way, because like
I
LinkedIn,
agree.
this is a platform for professionals. And when you say platform for professionals, people are looking for helpful content. And if LinkedIn, if they want people to stay in their platform, they really need to step up their game. Like if they want this platform to be really where like a one-stop shop for the professionals, where they get self-help, they create content, they become the professionals that they want to be, establish their personal brands. So I think they're gonna be doubling down on longer content. And what I can see is the ads. It's we're gonna be going in that hole along the way, and next thing you know, we will be skipping ads on LinkedIn for longer video content. This is just like in my head right now.
Also in connection with the new boost post feature for a
Yeah.
personal account that is coming up. Yes, yes, yeah. I'm really curious to see its impact, but I couldn't agree more. I just want to add one thing to all that you said. I mean, it's what Richard always says: post helpful content, focus on your audience, do it consistently. That's all. Of course, that is all true. But what I learned last year is, it's really weird. On average, my videos have at least as many views on TikTok as on LinkedIn. Unless I'm doing some ice swimming video, then it has more views on LinkedIn. My top video on YouTube Shorts has about 30 times the views it got on LinkedIn. Pinterest is bringing about 3 times as much traffic to my website as LinkedIn. So one could say these platforms work better for me. But the major difference is not the algorithm, it's not how many people see your content. It's absolutely impossible to target people in your audience in any of these platforms. And if you ask me, people worry too much about their reach, maybe even worry too much about how to optimize content, and don't worry enough about how to build their networks, how to use Sales Navigator, how to actually put this brilliant business graph data model to good use.
Okay. What is
Amen.
Challenge
Go
me,
on.
challenge me.
So we got AI, we got video. What else?
oh
Scale, 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 scale.
Scale.
But
Go
scale
ahead.
maybe
What do you
within
mean?
your community, not scale in vanity numbers, but really scale within your community in terms of really, being relatable and staying close to your community, about this consistency, consistent delivery of value. So the algorithm is really finding your audience, and you just stay together. And it doesn't matter if you don't have 100,000 followers. Maybe you have 5, 2, 1, 10, but you are more closely related to those people, and they really, stay close to you.
What are your
That
plans for
sounds an awful lot like,
2025?
yeah,
Oh,
but
sorry, sorry.
commenting strategy. I think that was one of the most used terms in 2024. Do we still need a commenting strategy in 2025?
Maybe not strategy, but maybe just continue it because of it's useful, because it's so useful. You really build up relationship with people. You wouldn't build any other way.
Okay. How
I
much
think
time do you spend commenting compared to creating your own content?
I spend few time on commenting and few time on creating content. I do not spend much time for myself on LinkedIn. I spend much time when I'm doing lectures, when I'm doing trainings, when I'm doing webinars. Then is the time when I'm on LinkedIn. But for myself, it's really, minutes for the commenting and minutes for the content. Actually, I'm not the heavy user, I would say.
What
I think
about you,
I'm
Martijn?
guilty with that.
No, yes, sir. No, yes, sir. You go first.
I I open LinkedIn like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's like
during.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and snacks, and midnight snacks. It's like a platter dish. Yeah, because like this is what I do. I create content on a daily basis, not just for one people, but a lot of people. And sometimes I create content for myself. Like, okay, this is a good content. I create like 3 posts for myself, and then I scheduled it, and then but in terms of commenting, I don't think that there is like a sort of strategy. I like people always say like you need to comment 30 comments per day like that. I don't I don't do that at all. But this is something that like a practice to me. If I think this person can help me, or if I can help this person, like it's more on being intentional on what you do. Like let's say this topic is your expertise, and then you comment, you share your expertise in the comments. So it doesn't have to be like 100 comments of thank you for this wonderful post. It's not that it doesn't have an effect. It doesn't give you conversion. You need to be intentional on the type of content that you comment on, and also the people that you want to send your message. I think that's the most important thing.
So what you're actually saying is that we cannot use AI commenting tools?
We can.
Okay, that
OMG.
is
Wait. I gotta stop my
Wait,
I gotta stop my
let me
AI
cancel.
commenting
Let me
tool.
cancel my. All right. No, but seriously, Nuyes, I 100% agree with you. Richie, you were asking my opinion. I fell in all of these traps. The reason why I started to give comments like 10, 20 a day was the simple reason I would get more reach. The reason why I was posting consistently is because then I got more reach. And I think it was recently that I thought, like, what the hell am I doing? There is a time and strategy for all of these tactics. So don't get me wrong, and they work. But I think it's really important for everybody to realize, like, what's the game that you're playing? And if the
exactly.
game that you're playing is you want to get 100K followers because then you can sell your course, and let's not say it's a bullshit course, but it's actually like a really good course. But you need,
It
you know,
probably is.
no, but you need like volume, because
Yeah.
you figured out, like, if I got 100,000 people to see it, I will sell it 5 times, whatever the math is. If that's your plan, if that's your game, then you should do the 20 comments or 50 comments. Then you should post consistently,
Mm,
like all of those things, 100%. Now, the problem is for most users, they don't play that game. Because
yeah.
for most users, it's like if they connect with the buyer and if they see one of their posts, call them and say, like, hey, that's some really interesting stuff that you got going on there. Can we talk about it? And then they will do a sale for, I don't know, 500,000 for the company or whatever it is. you don't need like 100,000
Mm,
people following you. So
exactly.
there's no right or wrong here for me. It's not like 100,000 followers is not important. No, it is important. Or reach is not important. No, it is important. But I think it's really important to understand for yourself what's the game that I'm playing. And if your game is
Mm-hmm.
like, I just want to build a relationship with the people that I want to connect with, and I'm going to comment on their post because I genuinely care, go for it. If you want to be a thought leader and you want to be visible on a specific topic for like a huge industry and you want to scale and you want to go volume and massive, yeah, sure. Then you have to step up your game. You cannot complain if you just post once every month and like 2 comments. No, that doesn't work. But yeah, to me, that was a realization like, hey, and also still figuring that out, like, what's the game that I'm actually playing instead of
Mm-hmm.
listening to all the big voices out there who are, of course, some don't, but who generally have really good advice. But you really have to understand, like, okay, cool, but this advice is it applicable to the game that I'm playing?
Exactly.
True.
Spot
Yeah.
on.
Boom.
Yeah. And like imagine if you have five people. Let's say you have just five people who want to get like a demo from you. That's insane. You're going to be like, "Oh my god."
Yeah.
Right? You're going to be like off your game. It's so much to handle. Just imagine somebody who send like a pitch that, "Hey, I can guarantee you 30,000 leads." Like, what am I going to do with that? You know what I'm saying?
You have a big problem here, Ace. If you
Right,
get
right,
30,000
right.
leads, like, what the fuck?
That's
I
impossible.
keep wondering how, yeah, or maybe they have a completely different idea of what a lead is than we do. That might be part of the problem. I like the idea a lot that we're playing different games. There's another aspect to playing different games. Some play obviously the engagement board game. We don't like that. We all don't like that. But it's another thing that skews the algorithm. Personally, and I cannot prove it, but I don't believe that there are any posts in the world that receive like 500 comments in the first 10 seconds,
Oh.
maybe 20% identical comments. I don't think this is happening organically. Maybe
Not at
maybe
all.
I'm just too naive, but um, are engagement bots a problem, or is it or will the problem kind of abolish itself?
Again, it depends on the game that you're playing. I think many users don't give a crap about engagement bots because that's not the game that they're playing. The game that they're playing, it's like, if I get 5 likes from my audience and that audience is going to buy something from me, they don't care. Now, my personal opinion, yes, it's a problem because you're tricking the algorithm. Now, I don't care about tricking the algorithm or that it hurts LinkedIn. Sorry, LinkedIn, but let's all agree LinkedIn is a big company. They that won't be a big problem for
Pretty
them.
big.
Pretty big. The problem is that many people get demotivated because they spend
Mm,
15 minutes on a post, which is actually like really, really, really good. It's super valuable. Um, they spend a ton of time on it. It's really authentic. It's really like it's really good. And then they get 2 likes, and then they see a shitty post with 500 likes. So to me, the problem is more like it gets people demotivated. Now, coming back to
yeah.
employee advocacy, when you are an employee or you're an entrepreneur and you spend your time, you really want to play this LinkedIn game, not for the volume, but because you genuinely like to be out there and give value to the people that matter to you. And then let's all agree, sure, those metrics scare. I like it more when I get 60 likes on my post than 5. Sure, everybody does. So I think that's the biggest problem there. Now, sure, you got something for the algorithm, the reach, but again, depending on the game that you play.
That's actually true. Me and Richard, we were talking about it, and I think he mentioned this in the group, in JC Hub group, that a lot of like big, even top voices. There's a lot of big people, big names that they are just inflating their engagements just to make their impressions higher. And this is what they show to companies for them to be, or for them to do like B2B uh influencer marketing, so that they
Yeah.
can like share like earn money from that. And I think that is not sustainable at all, because eventually the rates, the conversion rates is too low, because the quality of the people who are in on that, there's no money, there's nobody's gonna pay for anything, right? So I don't think that'll be sustainable. Sure, it's gonna create like a wave, like there's like a wave of people jumping into the bed, jumping into the trend, but eventually this will be over,
100%.
yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
Thanks
What
to
I
everybody in the
noticed,
chat.
Ricky,
Just
yeah,
just a
sorry.
quick announcement. Thank you, David. Happy New Year. Thank you for nothing, LinkedIn, for still not making it possible to see all comments in real time. It's more like a
Oh, that's
it's more like a
why.
game of luck. You have to reload the page. But be that as
Ah,
it may, thanks for watching. Quick question as we are nearing the end of this epic live, this epic transcontinental live, I have to say. Instagram lets us choose for quite a while now if we want to display a public like counter on individual postings that we publish on our own. YouTube, a couple of years ago, made the dislikes. It's the only platform that actually has a thumbs down button, but it made them only visible for the authors. Would it change the LinkedIn experience if LinkedIn removed the public display of likes and also removed the comment counter? So, for example, only displaying individual highlighted content like now. What do you think? Good idea, bad idea?
I
I
want
think
to
it's a
see
good idea.
relevant comments. I need comments. Comments are important.
Yeah, but
No, not the comment function. I only mean the comment counter. So you would not see immediately how many comments or how many likes a post got. You could still read the comment and expand the comment section all you like, but you would not know how many comments are there.
I think it's a good idea.
You do?
Well, yeah, sure. Of course, you can also think of some things that why it won't be a good idea, but generally speaking, because it would take out like the engagement bot kind of thing, it would take it out immediately. And the discussion that we had around the algorithm, maybe you've read it, the last book of Gary Vaynerchuk, the attention economy, where he talks about the interest graph instead of the social graph. Like Facebook, like social media as we know it, it's based on social graph. Like I follow you, Richie, and I'll see your content. Now, TikTok has, of course, the interest graph. So I can follow you, Richie, but I'm not on TikTok. Can you follow?
You're
Can I
not.
follow you? Whatever. That doesn't matter.
Yeah, but you
So
still won't see my videos.
yeah, but I might not see your videos because they're not in my interest graph. So I think that's one of the things that's actually a good idea from TikTok. And if LinkedIn does that as well, LinkedIn also makes the newsfeed again more relevant for people, no matter what content you use, like video, whatever. So taking away the like count might help with that, because the whole like how many likes do I get, like 3,000 like blah, 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 that whole game you get that out, and that might help in creating better content. But again, I am not 100% sure. You can think of 10,000 reasons why it won't be a good idea. What do you think, Norieza?
I think we can try it. There's nothing
All
to
right,
lose.
LinkedIn, let's
Just
try
try
it. Go. Oh,
right?
Yeah, let's get rid of the counter.
Yeah.
good idea.
I mean, in psychology, the phenomenon is called social proof. I think it's one of the lifeblood, one of the main motivators of social media. But I would find it pretty interesting. Interestingly, not a lot of people use it on Instagram. I mean, deactivating the like count on your own content. Heidi Klum sometimes does. I saw. Not that I'm
You
following her.
follow
Just
Heidi Klum?
yeah.
You
Oh
do.
My wife
You
man.
is
do. Let
watching
me
this.
check.
Well,
My
I'll
wife
Let
be
me
is
check
watching
right
a
now.
model show,
surprised.
and
Yeah, you do.
I
Yeah.
like to watch America's Got Talent because of the magicians that perform there.
Oh,
That's the reason. That's the reason.
okay,
Talking about
okay.
guilty pleasures.
So I see we still got
Yeah,
5 minutes
LinkedIn.
on the timer.
Yeah, yeah. So LinkedIn cannot be our only guilty pleasure. What are you going to do communication-wise, business-wise? What are you going to do more of next year?
Good
Well, ladies
question.
first. Ladies first.
Eva first.
recently listened live from my community member, Mike Fata. He's from Canada. He's an entrepreneur, really inspiring personality. And he was on live and speaking about community. And what I took from him is build local and scale digital. I think this is very good, to build those sustainable relationships with people. Like, we can and we should meet people in face, like people to people communication, and then it's super relevant to scale it in social. So I think it's my game plan for the next year. Yeah.
That's great.
Sounds like a good plan.
That sounds like
No,
a
yes,
good
what
plan.
about you?
Okay. So in 2025, there's gonna be a lot that will be happening aside from the algorithm report that will be published March, because I'll be doing a big part on that with the designing and other stuff. And aside from that, I also plan to focus on, building a community outside of LinkedIn, because that is one of the major mistakes that I've did. If only I've realized that it's very important to really have your own community, like building a newsletter or like a community outside of LinkedIn. And
Mhm.
while this may seem contrary to LinkedIn's objectives, because they want people to stay on the platform, but having a stronger relationship with your audience is really a reason to like double double with my content right now, because I've been like creating a lot of content for other people, but I don't have it's not that I don't have the time, but it's not really like a priority. But this year I will do my best to really create, like really build up on an audience outside of LinkedIn, and just use LinkedIn as a channel, but really build something outside of LinkedIn. And I've seen a lot of successful freelancers here in the Philippines that they have this very huge network here, like 500,000 people who like in one community. And these freelancers in the Philippines, like they just like sort of uh connect offline yearly, and it's insane. I've never seen this type of like strength, that you can really like solid, like your business is very solid, like even if LinkedIn disappears or your profile disappears out of thin air, your business is still intact. And this is something that I really look forward to this year.
Right.
Yeah.
Resilience. Resilience. Martijn,
Well,
what are you going to do more of
well, I was just saying,
next year?
all social media is rented ground. So
Yeah.
I really do agree with you, and that you need to make sure that you have your own audience, and that's not making others like. It's not that you're going to stop using LinkedIn. It would be stupid. But yeah, don't be aware that it's borrowed ground. Back to your question, Richie. Well, first of all, I need to fix my consistency. I do get what you have, Nurieza. Like, you're so busy
Yeah.
with clients, with like all those kinds of things, and then at the end of the day, you're like, I have tons of ideas for content, but I don't have the energy anymore to create it. So I have to figure that out and build a system for that. Of course,
Priorities.
well, yeah,
Priorities.
priorities, but also I'm a big fan of energy management instead of time management. Now, all of that has a place,
Mm.
but you have to have the energy to create things. But being more consistent on LinkedIn, Richie, and also stepping up my game with video for LinkedIn, but also YouTube, and also a newsletter outside of the whole
Yeah.
LinkedIn spectrum, which is a good idea. And again, I think 80% of my time will still be spent on LinkedIn because it's my main platform. Maybe some Instagram, but yeah, I really love LinkedIn. I really love the community, more than on other platforms, and also, yeah, it's what I spend most of my time. Last one, Richie. What are you going to do?
There's community on other platforms. Oh, maybe
No
I
idea.
should
No
start
idea.
looking.
No
Had,
idea.
had no idea. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. But personally, what I will do more of is or less. I will create less content directly for LinkedIn, and I will prioritize my homepage more, which has a lot to do with what Noriesa said. Newsletter, SEO is one channel. I relaunched my homepage. I began really slowly, and I wanted to finish, which I managed yesterday. But it's quite surprising. It's like Google is still a powerful source of traffic, and that's also where AI tools factor in. But it's generally easier, I find, to create longer pieces of content and then break them down than the other way around, because you might
Yeah.
end up with blowfish
Yeah,
content,
yeah, that's more
artificially
sustainable,
inflated.
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we finished. So
We, I
Happy
think
New
we
Year.
can go on
Happy
for
New Year.
another.
Happy New Year to all Just Connecting followers, to all active and inactive LinkedIn members. Let's have an awesome 2025 together,
Yeah.
right?
Well, actually,
Yeah.
I have something to tell you guys. Like, we are working on a digital product that we will be launching first week of January. It's it's basically like a templates, but for like profile and content wise, like the graphics, so that people can just do it on their own, like a self learning and like personalizing their own templates and make it their own. So not just like a typical template. And that is what we are pushing through next year, first week. Yeah, what Richard said is gonna be sharing it on his birthday. And that's gonna be huge, I think,
All
because
right.
like, yeah, like in JC, like we are teaching people how to like optimize their profile, that we have the 33 strategic points for like an optimized LinkedIn profile. But people are finding it difficult, like what are they gonna do next? So I think this is a huge step for us to move forward into, like, we can like give them an option on what they can do, well, aside
So
from doing it
January
on their own.
8th, we
Yeah.
wait for it on January 8th.
Yeah, yeah.
Sounds like we need to talk again very soon.
I can tell you,
Yeah.
Richie, there's some awesome stuff coming up in 2025 from Just Connecting. So stay tuned. But of course, everybody knows that.
I will. Yeah, of course. I mean, it's a given, right?
Exactly.
Looking forward. It's gonna be a good year.
Happy New Year,
So
everybody.
see you
Thank you
all on
so
LinkedIn
much for this
this year
time with you
or next year.
guys, and I really appreciate you with
Thank you
this
for
event.
joining.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Talk soon, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.